Hello, we are Tom
and Eileen,
librarians from the Broward County Libraries. The current health situation has affected almost every aspect of our daily lives. Every day brings new challenges, and trying to cope with each new development, overcome each new obstacle, brings additional uncertainty and stress. As part of our physical and mental makeup, humans develop certain mental and physical responses to dangerous or stressful situations. Threats are detected, evaluated, and the individual responds to a situation by either avoiding or confronting the threat. But as the individual becomes more mentally and physically exhausted, the stress responses become more difficult to manage, resulting in a spiral of ever-increasing stress and fatigue.
One of the responses to stress is the production of a hormone called cortisol, which in the short term helps the body to confront or escape danger. But elevated levels of cortisol, especially over a long period of time, are associated with a variety of harmful mental and physical health conditions, and mindfulness and other stress-reducing exercises and activities have been shown in clinical trials to lower cortisol levels.
Reducing stress is not only beneficial in the short term, it can have lasting benefits in terms of reducing risk of disease and increasing longevity. Reducing stress can include many things, but in general there are short-term and long-term issues involved. Short-term issues may be alleviated by doing physical and mental exercises to bring a sense of balance back to the mental state and keep the individual from becoming overwhelmed. Longer-term stressors may need more fundamental and long-term changes in the individual's outlook and lifestyle. Increasing a lifespan usually entails changing many lifetime habits, including nutrition, exercise, and other healthy changes. But the reduction of stress and increasing mental well-being is certainly an important component in a healthy lifestyle. Mindfulness is an increasingly popular activity which can help reduce stress and anxiety.
During the 1970s, many Eastern traditions and spiritual practice such as Zen, yoga, and various forms of meditation led to an acceptance among mental health professionals that such practices could have positive health benefits, and a variety of therapeutic treatments were developed to aid in conditions ranging from stress and anxiety to drug addiction and post-traumatic stress disorder. However, everyone is a unique individual, and in some cases, mindfulness practice can also exacerbate rather than alleviate psychological conditions. If at any time you feel uncomfortable about starting or continuing a mindfulness exercise, consult a qualified healthcare professional.
What is mindfulness? There are many sources available describing mindfulness, and specific definitions and descriptions vary, but in essence, mindfulness is a practice of focusing one's attention to the present moment. As part of a mindfulness exercise, the mind will often wander. Many people feel that when this happens, it is some sort of failure. A great fallacy of mindfulness practice, and in many meditative and other mental practices such as self-hypnosis, is that this wandering of the mind must be suppressed, when in fact it is not only natural, it is actually useful under normal conditions. The purpose of mindfulness is to balance the mind so these wanderings, especially those that lead to the stress spiral, can be reduced, controlled, and brought back into balance with normal functioning. To that end, mindfulness is about focus, not about suppression of the normal wanderings of the mind.
When the mind wanders, usually to those areas of what happened or what will or may happen, the purpose of the exercise is to actively bring it back to the current moment. Many mindfulness exercises use simple meditative techniques such as becoming aware of one's own breathing or other physical sensations. There are even mindfulness apps for your electronic devices now. But how well any particular app or technique works depends, again, largely on the individual. Some techniques use other, more active methods, including walking or other exercise. But these techniques are still, to a great degree, passive, meaning that the activity is not primarily mental but physical, and the individual may still have great difficulty in bringing the mind back to the present moment, away from the stressful thoughts and emotional responses.
Physical exercise has also been shown to reduce symptoms of stress, but if the mental stress reactions cannot be brought back into balance, the tendency is often to exercise even harder and more often. But this may only increase fatigue, not reduce stress as intended. So what sort of physical activity may help focus the mind without excessive strain? Try doing art. Art has a physical aspect of doing something rather than simply remaining motionless, and also has a mental component that helps develop focus and balance more quickly and easily than many other forms of meditative practice. The recent popularity of adult coloring was featured as a form of stress reduction, but quickly faded as many of these activities do. The problem was that, for many people, adult coloring was simply a brief fad that proved only marginally beneficial, because simply blocking in colors into some familiar shapes, like flowers or animals, was a mindless tuning out activity. But using adult coloring, or for the more adventurous, drawing, painting, or even sculpture, can be highly satisfying when done as a mindful rather than a mindless exercise.
As a start, try taking your leftover coloring materials and look at them again. Look at them as a basis for creating something, rather than just doing something. Look at the shapes and forms on the page, and actively think about what colors would look good together. How could you add something to the lines printed on the page to create something new and satisfying to you? Pick up a pencil and feel the shape, the size, the texture. Feel the glossy paint on the outside. Look at the pencil and see the color. Notice that the color of the lead doesn't always match the paint on the outside, so take a scratch piece of paper and try the color in the paper. Try different colors and see how they look when you place them next to one another. Try changing the pressure with which you apply color. Notice the feel of the pencil as it glides on the paper. Try moving the pencil around and see how the lines you put on the paper look different as you change direction. Observe what happens as you cross over lines or put lines next to each other. See how lines you put down create not just color, but also shape and form, depending on how you move the pencil.
Create a color chart, blocking in a bit of each color for each pencil in your assortment. Label each so you know which pencil will make what color on the paper, and use different amounts of pressure, being mindful of how using lighter strokes changes the value and tone of the color. Try different papers, some with smoother surfaces and some with rougher surfaces. Experiment and see what you like. The more you color, the more you will see how important little changes like these will have in your work. And as you develop your skill, you will come to appreciate all the different kinds of pencil strokes and paper textures as different tools to be used to achieve a desired effect in your artwork. Begin your artwork slowly and think about what you're doing. Don't just look at the image on the page. See the image in your mind with form and color, and let your hand create the image on the page. And if your hand doesn't recreate the image in your mind, that's okay. Just focus on what is happening on the page and bring your mind and hand into a harmony. Let them work together to create something. And if your mind wanders or reacts to some thoughts or emotions, look at your hand again as it leaves a trail of color on the page and feel the pressure of the pencil in your hand. Let the color flow from your mind through your hand and onto the page. If the image on the page doesn't develop the way you want, don't get frustrated. Remind yourself that you are trying to focus, and frustration is just another distraction you're trying to avoid. Just put down the pencil, look at your color chart, pick up another one, and look at the image again. Where would this color work in your creation? Need another color? Try again. Remember that at this point, you're not trying to create a perfect drawing. You're trying to create a sense of balance. And as you practice creating an image on the page, you will soon see that you can create more calm in your mind. After some practice with coloring in your pictures, you may find that you aren't getting the results you think you should be, and that your pencils aren't doing what you want them to. How do you change that and get the results you want? We'll talk about that next time. But for now, just practice doing, feeling, creating, experiencing line and form, color, and relaxation that comes from bringing calm and balance back into your mind.
As you become more experienced at being mindful while drawing, you can begin to notice being mindful doing other things. Or when you need to bring some balance back if you start to feel overwhelmed. Of course, you always want to be safe, so you should not do mindfulness exercises while driving or doing other activities that require your full concentration. With a bit of practice, you can take a few moments out of your daily activities to be mindful. Cooking a meal, doing laundry, or other daily tasks can be mindfulness exercises, and for a brief time, bring balance and harmony back. We think of daydreaming as a way of getting out of the drudgery of where we are. But mindfulness is bringing us back out of the fear and stress of where we think we're going. Face tomorrow's challenges tomorrow, but facing them rested and ready is easier than being overwhelmed by them now and facing tomorrow exhausted and unbalanced. As you practice your art and your mindfulness techniques, you may want to do more research or have some additional instruction in art, meditation, or perhaps branch out into some other sort of satisfying mindful activity, and your library is here to help. Contact your local Broward County Library branch and ask about books available for you to pick up. And if you want more instruction, see our online resources, especially the Universal Class Database. Just go to the library's webpage at www.broward.org/library. Click on the eMedia tab and select Universal Class. Enter your library card number and PIN and create an account.
There are dozens of classes from 31 different categories, but for mindfulness, meditation, and stress reduction exercises and activities, you can start by looking under crafts and hobbies, alternative healthcare, personal development, or psychology. But don't let the categories limit you. You might find that learning a new language, writing poetry, or studying mathematics is a mindfulness exercise. Whatever activity allows you to focus your mind and bring balance back while reducing stress can be a mindfulness exercise. Whatever activity brings a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment is an activity that will continue to bring you benefits for a long time to come.